Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. Uh, yeah, I just thought I'd film myself on my phone because last time I did it on my laptop, the sound quality was really bad. Anyway, I just thought I would make a little video about why I'm making little videos, essentially. Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm an actor, so I like to express myself and to talk, even though I'm quite quiet and reserved and spend a lot of time by myself. I'm very social and I can get verbal diarrhea once I get excited about something. So a lot of this channel is basically being about that, about me just getting my thoughts out there, and anyone who's interested and thinking along the same lines is welcome to watch, basically. But I thought, long term it would be nice to make something out of the channel if I ever get enough interest or enough subscribers or comments or whatever. It would be good, it'd be cool if it became a thing. um I suppose just the way I see it, it would be like a piece of the Kundalini puzzle, because it is a puzzle, because it happens so rarely. And obviously, there's evidence of it existing a long time ago, and this has been researched, but it's not doesn't seem to have happened a lot to a lot of people. So I'm still trying to figure out, first of all, if this is just something that happens to people from time to time, or if we're literally approaching a new era in which this is going to be happening a lot. And my intuition is that this is going to be happening a lot, because I just believe that we are entering a new era of sorts, a technological era, and I think our physiology is going to maybe merge with technology somehow. I mean, that's obvious in the terms, the whole sort of chips in your brain and all this kind of thing. But in a different way. I think psychically we're just going to be. I think we're just going to be a different species almost. Not a different species, but we're going to. I don't know what we're going to do. uh, um, but I think that Kundalini will become more prevalent because we're going through a psychedelic renaissance. Basically, just so many people now have heard of, I think the Kundalini is a bit like what psychedelics used to be, like this underground movement, not very well known. It's sort of, research has been done on it. There's a couple of books, you can Google it, but it's not on the front page of the news. It's not big news. It's not, because I guess just people haven't had the opportunity to even be confronted with it. I mean, I barely knew the word. I knew the word for maybe like 6 months before I had my own awakening. So it's just not something that's on people's minds. So this channel is just, I suppose it's yeah, it's one channel amongst a few, where you can just come and get information and be like, okay, here's a guy who's gone through it or going through it, and this is his opinion, and he's quite chilled out about it. So maybe people can, relate, and or it can be helpful, or help people not to freak out, because you can freak out, and there's a reason that the this used to be confused with psychosis for obvious reasons. I mean, some of the shit that I've been doing since this started, like, you know, it's just got mad written all over it, but it's not. But it's going to be really hard to explain to people that this isn't madness, this isn't psychosis. One of the good ways you can show that is just by, you know, coming across as a happy, healthy guy. Like, if you're happy and smiley and you look strong and healthy and you've got good skin and you're speaking sensibly, then you're obviously not mad. And maybe people could say, okay, well, you've got some weird ideas about life. Okay, fine. But I can literally lie down and have my whole body start jerking, and I can literally show you some of the mad shit. I mean, a lot of it's internal, but the external is pretty full on, as you can see from some of my other videos. So I think the next few years, as Kundalini will become, I think, more it will come into conversation more. And I think channels like this will be good because it's, it's just the difficulty will be in convincing people that it's not a psychotic break with reality of some kind. But I do see it very much like the like psychedelics, Kundalini, and it is a psychedelic experience. I mean, I don't think that's said very often, but it does have that quality about it, and it's undeniable. If it's almost like, I mean, imagine taking a tab of something and coming up on it for the next few years. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it feels like. This energy has been released in your body, and it's going through, and it's coming up to your mind and affecting your brain, and you're getting little visions, and it's just like working on knots. I mean, it feels like a come up in some senses. It feels biological, chemical, which I suppose it is. But yeah, but my stance is that I mean, for me, it this happened when I was realizing more and more that there was nowhere to get to in life, if that makes sense. That you can't find fulfillment. You're trying so hard that you just have to give up, and in the giving up you realize that everything was just happening as it was anyway. You aren't really in control, and it's that realization that seemed to spark off the Kundalini. That realization, coupled with yoga and psychedelics and all those other things, were involved. I can't deny that. I don't know if I'd not been doing yoga or taking or if I hadn't been, I wasn't doing that many psychedelics, but I don't know what kicked this off. I don't know if it's something that, because there is such a thing as Kundalini yoga. There's places, centers you can go to where there'll be like a dude, I guess, the master or whatever, and he'll have a Kundalini. And sometimes they say, there's footage of this, just him just going around touching people, healing people, awakening their own Kundalini. So maybe there's guys, maybe that could happen with me. Maybe if someone came to me, I could, because it does seem to be contagious. But then I'm not sure. Is it this sort of thing where you can just go up and touch someone and like anyone, and this process begins? Because it's not for everyone, and that's something that probably needs to be said. It's not for everyone, because it's very intense, and the feeling of losing the plot is very pronounced. And I don't think everyone could deal with this in a sort of mellow manner. And fitness seems to come into it as well. I'm not saying you have to be particularly fit for it to happen, but it sure does help, because a lot of the stuff the Kundalini is doing is like stretching you, getting rid of knots. You can do a lot of that work by yourself. You can go and work out. Yoga is a huge help. If the Kundalini could speak, I just know it's encouraging me to go to yoga, and I've continued that since, because it just helps. Any more you can do with stretching and just getting rid of tension and breathing, and that the Kundalini afterwards is like, yeah, I can, this is brilliant, because now I can take your leg and go like that and click it this way and click it that way and bring it back down, and it loves all that, all of that. And they do say, I mean, when you read about Kundalini, they do say, like in the old days, they used to, before they had that awakening, yogis would prepare their bodies for the arising of this energy. And that's kind of what I'd been doing for the few months before this started. I just didn't know that's what I was doing. But in retrospect, yeah, it looked like I was a kind of yogi, who was attempting to, but I wasn't attempting to do anything at all. I literally just stumbled upon this thing. Yeah, and the last thing I will say is how, what's funny to think about is that people like Buddha, uh, those sort of spiritual dudes in history, they're seen as like supernatural guys. People look at them and go, "Oh, a master, like, or a supernatural." That's a normal guy. That's a hard pill to swallow, but that's just a dude. Is us that are not normal, you know. that dude is like a tree or an animal. He's just found his place in nature, like everything else has its place in nature. We feel disconnected and we're running around on top, almost kind of looking for nature that we've looking for our own nature that we've seemingly become separated from. um but that's what's unnatural, is not to be a Buddha, so to speak, or not to be uh in a state of, not a state maybe, but not to feel that fulfillment and that wholeness. Is has been the human condition for many centuries, but that doesn't mean we're used to it. That doesn't mean it's natural. And my hope is that that Eckhart Tolle is right, and he's kind of foresaw this evolution of consciousness, uh, and yeah, my hope is that this kind of thing is going to start happening more and more, because it's part of it's going hand in hand with the psychedelic revolution that's happening, and those things have an effect on the physiology and the psyche. That can't be helped. So if more and more people are doing that, which they are, um, then it seems inevitable to me, especially with the internet. Information gets around, and things like Kundalini that are, it's already on there as information. But I think more and more conversations will happen on the topic in the coming years, and it'll be interesting to see that develop. And I'm a writer. I've written one book that I'm trying to get published. I might self-publish it, but I've not written anything about Kundalini yet. And since I enjoy writing, I think it would be a good opportunity to begin a project of that kind. Anyway, that's it for me on a Wednesday evening. So yeah, thanks for watching, if you watched it. If not, what's wrong with you?